Too many things going. And we're live. All right. Our monthly roundtable where we tell about our projects, what we've done in the last month, what we plan on doing. Want to start, Adriel?
Sure. Yep. So my project is Conferati, which a part of it is also Wiki Election, which I've talked about in the past. It is a platform that I'm trying to get online to build a variety of sort of interconnected, mostly data-related apps. I'm working with developers now. I think the last time I was probably having problems meeting with the developers, I ended up shifting it so that I could also meet sort of in the morning before work, and then I got a lot more meetings and had a few meetings with developers. A lot of the meetings were The ones that seemed more put together asked for more information, which made sense. So I've been working on sort of more detailed requirements to be able to provide to them. I think I'm almost done, so hopefully I'll be able to provide that this weekend, and then hopefully in the next week or two I'll actually be able to have the meetings to pick one, and then I can actually start to have developers building stuff.
Awesome. All right. By the way, did any of us put the link? Either of us put the link in the Facebook group or send it to Bentley? Because that could also be why he's
that's
forgetting how we do this when it's been a month since the last time. I can update while you're doing that. 3 projects. Solution raising, I haven't done much on, I think, since last month, but I do have a solution raising scheduled for Monday with Jack and 2 of his friends on legal secrets and lies, because it's what he keeps referring to. And so we'll see how that goes, because one of his friends is like, I'll only do it if there's someone else who's not an anti-capitalist. And I was like, oh, this should go really well. So I have that scheduled for Monday, which should just be interesting. Jack, group chat, friends, should be interesting. Peer coaching, still doing it weekly. Some people come regularly, some people come one and never come again. I'm not able to really grow it and do the networking. Realizing what I'm not able to do for my projects because of how amazing and successful the one project I'm on that has other people working on it is. OFA is killing it. We're actually not posting content on TikTok because we can't handle the growth. We can't handle the amount of people that want to come and be part of it. And there isn't anything for them to be a part of yet besides being a part of actually creating it. There's we are breeding teams. I don't even, every time there's a problem, there's a new team that pops up, and figuring out the tech team and the admin team and how to intercoordinate. And so although a lot of the people are new to it, and it is a tech startup, it's not moving fast enough. It's moving faster than any other tech startup that doesn't have millions of dollars behind it. And quite frankly, we're bringing in the people, we're bringing in the investors, we're bringing in the labor, and we're coordinating the chaos and dealing with the interpersonal and intra and interpersonal stuff that comes up. And I am enjoying that. So that is the update. Right? OFA, peer coaching, solution raising. Yes. Welcome, Bentley. Nice to see you. We realized we hadn't sent the link, which is why you weren't here.
Yeah. And then I didn't even notice that it started on Facebook, but there's a bit of a delay there anyways, right? Yeah. So you have a whole bunch of people interested in peer coaching? And
No. I wish it was peer coaching. I'm realizing that Kylie and I get together every Tuesday before peer coaching. And because it's on either one of us to do the admin work, or even just coordinating, hey, you were at peer coaching before, want to come again? An email list is way beyond my capacity. Yeah. So knowing what I can't do, peer coaching isn't able to move forward in the way that OFA is, One Free App, because One Free App has people who are the admin, people who are know what's going on, and people who are doing more of the coordination for it. And so how to bring some of those people onto peer coaching in a way that works for peer coaching and me and them is I'm sure it'll happen.
So do you have a link to that One Free App thing? I don't recall.
It's right now I don't remember which team is doing the website. I believe it's the communications team is doing the website. There's not a website yet. But we have 2 Discord servers, the TikTok account, Signal chats for all the different teams, and everything else. I'll send you the TikTok.
Yeah, or just a quick rundown of what it is might be helpful. I don't remember us talking about it in the past. So.
That would one of the people that came over to clean my house was asking, like, I wasn't involved in the MVP creation, so I don't remember the exact, because there's like the big, huge vision and then the MVP. And it's basically a mutual aid network that we're creating and figuring out the beta of the mutual aid network and how to, share spoons or share energy in a way that like you're doing what you want to do and receiving what you need, and there's no money exchanged.
Yeah.
Like barter without the barter.
Yeah.
Just gifting energy and information and knowledge and what that looks like, and the amount of people that do want to be involved and do want that to happen. Me, I'm like, we do not need another mutual aid free library. Again, it's been done so many times, but this one, because it's on TikTok, because it has the young generation, because it's autistic people, because of like just the right amalgamation, it's like, we have the people, we actually might get the threshold. And they have me to be like, no, we can't do it locally until we have the threshold. Therefore, it needs to be digital. It needs to have these other things that are not going to be coming to those.
Well, cool. Well, it's glad that that's getting a lot of interest. So for my project, I know, I think the last couple times I was here, I was talking about rebranding and renaming and trying to figure out how to express it, because I had a group of people helping me with the design and they were like, what are we doing again? So, the hardest part of doing all these things, as you know, is explaining it. So I did a deep dive with lots of different people, and I think y'all gave me feedback maybe the last couple times. So I think I'm narrowing in on the branding I want to use for the first kind of experiment, or the next experiment, I guess. And so I think I'm going to use my domain. I have Reasonpedia. I don't think I shared this option with you because I think this is pretty new, but the tagline is help us find holes in popular arguments. So then I think that'll disarm people a bit, because it's not saying we think this is right. It's just saying here are popular arguments, inviting people to, it's showing an openness to feedback and to, and all that. So, I'm thinking that that'll be, a quick, way to kind of disarm all the concerns that people are having about it. What do y'all think of that?
I like it.
Oh, you're still muted, Jubilee.
I say I like the tagline. It makes me want to poke holes in it, but it's also what I like. So I'd be like,
right.
Yeah, just where can I poke holes? Finally, a place that needs me.
And I also like how sort of broad, popular arguments is. So it sort of innately says, yeah, whatever side. Like, it doesn't matter what side of the argument you're on. If there's a popular argument you want to poke holes in, have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about like winning a debate or like getting the side. It's like, hey, how many holes can you park in?
Help us own the libs. Like,
yeah. And then the main kind of things I think I need to address is like how it works, because that's the first question. And then I have it labeled as about trust. But the main thing is like, we're not asking for your trust. We're asking you to think critically about what we're saying and give feedback. So, because a lot of people keep going, well, what if I don't trust your sources? And I'm like, I don't trust my sources. Why would you trust my sources? We put in a source and we discuss what's wrong with that source, or what are the concerns about that. So it's just so funny that this is such a foreign idea to actually dig deep into the evidence, that people seem to like hit a wall. Because it's like they've never seen a source that's trying to not be biased.
Yeah. Or I think the flip of that is all the sources are claiming to not be biased. So they're like, well, where's the bias? Like, every source is claiming that they're this or that. So what's this one? Oh,
I don't know.
What am I missing?
Yeah. It seems like big media these days don't even try and act unbiased anymore. Like, I don't think Fox News would say unbiased, and I don't think CNN would say
Do they not still
unbiased
say
anymore.
fair and balanced? That was like their tagline forever.
Like, we can't even. We got to drop that.
I think that was sarcasm.
Don't be evil. That's hard. It's so hard to not be evil.
Maybe I didn't. I just thought they gave up on it.
Don't be evil on Tuesdays.
No, I mean, I think all the sides sort of like have that two-sided, like they'll be blatantly doing one thing, but then all the words they're saying is still like,
They
no,
did
we're
drop-
the fair and balanced one. Or,
They did drop fair and balanced back
Is
in
it?
2017.
okay, what is it now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check. They may have put it back in too. This is an old article from
brown nosing the Republican parties.
Yeah,
Or really anyone in charge, whoever gives us money and power.
right. But I mean, all the news. They have editorial so up front now. Yeah,
People actually get upset if it's not editorial. Like, how dare you not tell me what to think about
Right.
this? Like, I'm talking about a murder. You can't figure out that's bad. Like, I need to add some editorial to that. That's odd.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just trying to figure out the next. So I'm putting up a website right now. I'm using some new tech on it. Got my Twitter. I bought the domain and the Twitter handle years ago when I bought the domain and secured the Twitter handle back when I first kind of was going through names. That was like my second level name, or third choice. So building out the website, I got a big long white paper that kind of answers all the questions, but I think I need to boil it down to frequently asked questions. And I have a new kind of UI for the display of and I'm trying to figure out, I don't know. That's my update. If y'all want to spend the next 20 minutes working on my project, we can. Or, however long it is, unless y'all have I don't want to take over the conversation unless you give me permission.
I'm good.
I'm fine with that.
It's funny. I'm in other meetings and people are like, "Well, I don't want to take over the thing." It's like, well, you should take it over if we want you to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me share a screen. So this is kind of the skeleton kind of homepage. I'm thinking of that being the logo where it's a P and an R for Reasonpedia. It just has a little white line. I don't know. Just playing with that.
Is Reasonpedia new? I haven't heard Reasonpedia before. Like,
yeah. I mean, I bought it like 5 years ago, but so that's the new name for it. Yeah. Gullybot people kept thinking was AI. Reason score, the word score triggers people. So I think Reasonpedia is going to be the new name. So instead of just saying the claims, it's going to say why people say and that. So we're throwing it on other people the whole time, not saying we're claiming this. And so this is kind of the website under construction, which is the same thing. And we're going to have, trust and blog and about how it works, but I don't have that filled out. On the trust, it says, should you trust Reasonpedia? The short answer is no.
I like it.
No, don't. Why would you trust some stupid website on the internet? Okay. So, but these are all the different landing pages I looked at that I considered. Anyways, let's see. So for like, I haven't decided whether I'm going to have the score or not. And I don't remember if I showed this before, but so as you're kind of exploring the stuff, before I had kind of a score and stuff like that, but now I'm calling it just a visualized summary or summary visualization of why the people are saying this, right? So it's the idea of a bucket. if the bucket is full, with a solid color, then it would be considered both, like the people, whoever the people are, think this is a true statement. And so that's their logic. And it's based upon the information beneath it, or it's an assumption on its own. If it has this kind of crosshatch kind of thing, then that's the thing to where, yeah, this is true, but there's a competing claim that is kind of taking the power away from it. So if you have a pro and a con right next to each other, they kind of cancel each other out, unless you talk about which one's more true or which one's more important, and that can be in the math. But this is just showing that how much is kind of canceled out, or I'm thinking of a better word rather than cancel. Counterbalanced, rather than canceled. So like this is the missing confidence because it's been proven partially probably wrong. And then you have, this is how much is still impacting its parents. And this is how much has been counterbalanced or canceled. And the total thing here is how confident we are in it. But I think it kind of gives the intuition, because the fuller the bucket is, that kind of makes you feel like it has more evidence for it. And then the crosshatch gives you an idea. It's like, well, something's wrong there. It's not quite solid. Any thoughts on that? Let me show you what it looks like in different.
My only thought is the optimistic, pessimistic thing of half full, half empty. That like, because we're used to 1 to 5 star ratings, that like, why isn't it full? Why isn't it always full with solid color 100% of the time? It's like, you know what I mean? Like when you look at a review and you're like, why are they at 4 stars? Why aren't they at 5 stars? This is like, that it feels a little bit like that. And how to not bring that to the table, like when it's the customer that's going to be thinking that, or maybe it won't be.
And I think it's okay, because if it's not completely full, then they should want to dig in and find out why. And the reasons are always in there because it's mathematical. So it's going to be full unless there's a reason for it to not be. But these are all the kind of different ways. Oh, and at the very top here, you can kind of see it. That's really kind of hard to see. You can see it kind of, I don't know how good that comes out on the video, but it's kind of animated, showing kind of how it will change over time depending upon the data underneath it. Can you see that in there?
Yeah, just on the right
yeah.
side.
So I'd probably need to make that bigger. But yeah, so that's the type of stuff I've been working on. I still don't know whether I'm going to show this bucket or score it all, because there's one way to like, there's a way to where if they choose one of these statements, like if they wanted to talk about ivermectin or something, then it would ask them, how confident are you in that ivermectin does help COVID or doesn't, right? And then depending on what they say and how strong they are on one side, it would look at counterclaims and kind of say, okay, well, what do you think of this counterclaim? And there could be a counterclaim that they agree with. It's just not very important, right? So they can, put that on the scale. And so it'll quickly guide them through this mass of reasons for and against, and show them and guide them to the ones that they either haven't seen or an assumption that the system is making that we can have them add information. Like we might have a study in there and they may know, oh, that study's been retracted, but we don't know that yet. So they'll come to it and they'll say, okay, our assumption is that this is a good study and it's there. And then that's where they can tell us through Twitter that study has been redacted or whatever, is an example. Or they might run across a study that they didn't know that shows it doesn't work, or they may go in there and but it'll quickly, using the math and their scores, get them to the difference in opinion between what the system has and what they know, in theory. So it's kind of a stepping process, or it might just be a map where we actually just kind of show them the whole landscape of the scoring through some of these like visualizations where you can see the pros and cons. Or, I still haven't figured out all the different visualizations. different ways to kind of look at it. These up here are Kialo. These are more inspirations, but maybe something like this over here. So
I definitely agree with the goal of trying to sort of summarize the whole thing as simply as possible to give people a reason to dive in. So like, as you said, hey, why is that part blank? Well, go check.
yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things I need to put in under the trust. It's like, well, how'd you get these scores? And it's like, well, open it up and look. There's no, I mean, I can tell you the math on how the scores work, but if you want to know why it's scored this, the reason why is in there. It's all the assumptions that score is based on it are explicit. It's because the system is only assumptions. Everything's an assumption. Everything's a claim. There are no true, there are no facts. It's all assumptions. Anyways, so yeah. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to start. I think I was having a lot of people freak out and whenever I suggested things. So I think calling it a summary rather than a score and having it be a Reasonpedia, and just saying this is what people say, not what we're saying, and showing that we're open to feedback. I think all those things kind of makes people calm down so that some percentage, I mean, there will be conspiracy theorists that will never talk to, never convince, and but there might be a group of people in there that are skeptical and enjoy having a rational debate or learning new things that will find it interesting. What percentage of society that is, I don't know. Anyways, and then I guess something else that might be interesting is my white paper I've written up. Testing if reason score. I guess I need to change this title. Reason score improves discourse. And this talks about the overall goal and it, so if someone actually wants to see the math, then I can show it to them. Although I don't know enough about formulas to know if that's correct, but I'm told that it is, so or that it might be. So this
your assumption is that it's correct,
right? Yes. So this is kind of the big white paper document for the people that really want to dig into it. I guess one other piece that I haven't quite figured out how to, and I don't even know if I need to talk about here, and maybe it's about trust and stuff like that, is that this only works for a specific type of question. And a lot of people saying, this is never going to work because, there's these really complex questions that have these interrelated things. And there's the difference between complicated and complex. And what's the term? There's the term for the type of, it's very big in the game B where, the system's too complex for you to boil it down to just a set of formulas. And that's absolutely true. This system doesn't address those. So I need to find a good way to say, what type of questions this can handle. And that we're not thinking it'll handle everything. So it's just yes, no questions, can be answered by weighted reasons and evidence. Maybe I need to put a note on here, not things that fall into complexity science. Oh, you're muted, Jubilee.
I think she might be talking to someone else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I guess somewhere I need to kind of, that's the other kind of big concern I get often is like, this won't work for a lot of questions. It's like, yeah, and algebra doesn't work for everything you need math for either, but it's still useful.
Yeah, and if it's able to at least help pinpoint like that, yeah, we are trying to solve everything, but there's a few key things that are often cornerstones of those really complex arguments. And if you can say like, okay, yeah, you probably can't tackle all of climate change in one thing, but like there's a bunch of assumptions and a bunch of like individual facts that each group loves to claim exist. And then it's like, okay, each of those could be, dissected. And then,
if we can take those off of the debate table, then that frees up our brain and our time to talk at that higher level and not get distracted with all these, because most of the conversation just sits around those main points. It's like, oh, it's hot outside or it's cold outside today. Why do you think there's global warming? And it's like, okay, let's just make sure no one ever says that ever again. You're just wasting our time. It's fake.
Well, and part of it is I guess like things that we're used to saying like global warming as opposed to climate change. Because at first, the scientists, they've sort of gone back and forth on like what does it mean? How's it going to act? But that's the one side I think that's being more open, and the other one, in my experience, is not as much. And I think a lot of those will come out as you're just looking at where the data comes from and the common links of like, oh, if we take who pays them into account, look at how the data changes.
Yeah, so just helping on the questions that can handle, helping people get down into those details without losing track of the debate. I guess, the other thing is I've been trying to figure out a way to express a score, which was this summary thing, in a way that people understand that we're not saying this is final. It's like you're watching a sport and you're seeing, you have a scoreboard. Imagine how bad sports would be if they didn't have scoreboards at all.
Right.
Like, so you're sitting with your friend and you're arguing with each other about what the score is. And like, oh, it'd be nice if someone actually like wrote the score down somewhere. So we wouldn't have to remember this is where we are. So it's just that. But the game never ends. Right. Someone can always come in.
I think that's one thing that our projects have in common is the idea of like, nothing's ever going to be final. It's always based on what do we know right now / what does the system know right now? Because that part will always have gaps as well. But the idea, but behind the like, this isn't as soon as this says that the graph is full, that's done and gone. And, it's never going to swing the other way. Even if 100% of the evidence that we know today points in one direction, a new study could come out tomorrow. That like, oh, wait, but in this situation, turns out.
Yep. What I don't know is if on this page, if I'm thinking I don't need to address the score right up front. I mean, somewhere in how it works, if I'm displaying the scores, I'll talk about there. But I don't think, I'm trying to decide whether I need to address somewhere early what the scope of Reasonpedia is, because I do get some feedback when I'm explaining the overall concept of a reason score with people. They're like, oh, well, that won't work for this type of decision, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that type of decision. But I don't know I don't think I need to address it here, because I think I'm going to have a limited set of 5 topics, and they're all going to be of that scope. So it may not come up to the reader of this page, oh, this is an interesting tool, but it can't be used, it's a stupid tool because it can only be used for a small subset of questions. But I guess they don't really care because they're only going to see the ones that I have posted.
Well, we should probably throw all computers in the garbage because the first one was only ever used as a calculator, right? So just throw all computers. Like for something like this, I think it's if it tackles one thing and tackles it well, A, that tackles it well, so that's cool. And B, then what did you learn from that? Oh, I wonder if we just tweak this or use 2 measurements or something, now it can be used for more.
Slowly make it more complicated. I think the reason why a lot of the systems that try and do this, because really it is trying to put numbers around how we think rather than using intuition or heuristics. I think they do bite off way too much. It's like, let's just do it for some simple types of questions first. And they're trying to handle everything, and then they can't. It doesn't work because you can't handle everything. It's like,
well, and they don't want to run tests that might fail, right? Like, there's a good chance there's a question you throw at this, you're like, oh, this just can't handle that. cool. That's interesting to know. And if you've handled 10 questions that did work, that's great. Okay, it didn't handle this. It did handle these 10. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
As opposed to not having any of those and just taking a look at the theory, being like, well, that'll fail on 1 in 10, so let's just not do it.
So is it your intuition that I even need to address this here, or do you think people won't even think that far when they're just hitting the homepage?
I just don't think you should care if people don't think it works.
That's true.
Like, if anything, challenge them, call them out, call them names, have them, send you messages on Twitter and start some sort of a storm that all of a sudden, what's this? Why is recent score trending?
Yeah.
I mean, is it great for the project, but it's also great for the project. It's the weird world that we're in, where like just loudly, publicly disagreeing, for some reason people love that. And like, let's build a score into why you think this scoring won't work.
Yeah, I actually do need to put that in there. And
I think that would actually be a funny way to do it. Have one of the items be recent score will never work as one of the things that you're trying to. Great. So what are your arguments here?
Yeah. I need to do that. I've been meaning to. Well, cool.
Either of you watch the Daniel Schmachtenberger sense-making projects, those 3 projects?
Yep. And I know Jamie Joyce really well, the first project. She's a part of the Canonical Debate Lab, and I'm going to use her data. She already gave me permission, and put it into Reasonpedia whenever she's done with it. But
Awesome.
yeah, I don't know if Adriel, did you see that one?
No, I don't think if it's a recent one. No, if it was the previous sense-making one, I know I've seen sort of clips and things.
No, it was like literally, it wasn't the war on sense-making ones. It was him looking at 3 different projects in the sense-making space.
Okay,
Yeah, it came out a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted to highlight some projects that are helping with sense-making. And he picked 3. He said there's a whole bunch more, and he listed out a few other people in the community. In the STOA, he was on the STOA, and so he was just trying to show some light on people working on sense making tools.
I wonder how it went for them afterwards. Like how being on Daniel, like whether they did get an influx of people wanting to work on their projects, whether they had that beforehand, whether they got investors, whether like, because Daniel is a pretty big name in the sense-making space. And if having him highlight you doesn't have that impact, then basically no one's going to have that impact. Because even if you go on like Joe Rogan, you're not going to get to the sense-making community, right? You're going to get to the larger, anyway, I just wonder what the impact.
Well, it's hard. I mean, I think so. I follow Jamie on social media and stuff, and I think she had when I say a lot, maybe like a dozen people show interest, and that could be a lot. Some of them will just be light. Although it's hard to tell because Jamie's also like she's about to be interviewed on You're Not So Smart, and she's been on a couple other podcasts, so she's getting a lot of traction with Society Library. So I don't think that episode's come out. So it's hard to tell how much of what she's getting is just from other areas. But I think it looked like she mentioned on social media that a lot of people were reaching out. So I think it was helpful.
It was like our projects don't have that spotlight. And it's like, if only they could get that spotlight. And it's like, well, even if they get the spotlight, even if you're on the circuit tour of all the podcasts, I still don't think it brings in. It's like you kind of need the trickle of like constant publicity, not one-off.
Yeah, it used to be you'd want to get on Slashdot. Nowadays, it's like the first page of Reddit. But I hear from a lot of the startup founders who went through that it's just a huge bit of traffic that takes your site down, and they don't stick around. They don't buy anything, or if you're selling things. So, I mean, it's good to have, but it's not a solve. Yeah, it doesn't generally solve things. But yeah, slowly kind of building a following. Of course, mine's not even ready for that because I don't, it's an idea. I mean, I guess theoretically it might have fit in it, but I couldn't even explain it until this week really well. So, whatever I would have said, that thing wouldn't have had any traction because everyone would just give me that dog in headlights sort of tilt of head thing going. What do you say?
Yeah, it happens. It's
Happens
like
to
we
us
need to
all.
find a way to do like not a social credit, but like kind of social credit in the sense making community, or we can vouch for each other. Because it's like the world is waiting for Elon Musk to save them when he never will. Like the money and the people in the positions of spotlight aren't the ones with the best ideas, and yet they're the ones we listen to. Like Jordan Hall and Daniel Schmachtenberg, I think are brilliant, but if they knew the answers, they would have come up with them already, and we'd already hear about it. And it's like to be able to actually have a community of sense making as opposed to figureheads, because I think the sense making community understands that's what we need, whereas the people watching the sense making community are looking for Elon Musk. And it's like to just like, no, it isn't going to be a figurehead. It's going to be a bunch of different projects. It's going to be all of us having important conversations, not watching 4 people on the stoa have an important conversation,
Yeah. Have you either looked at the comments? It looks like Daniel's out there chatting us.
And I got confused because he said he didn't have sound. I was like, why is he watching us? He means he doesn't have a mic, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
That's why I was off camera. I was like, is there no sound? I was like, oh, that's not me. That's too bad because I wanted to hear what was going on with Ruba. Ironically, our other viewer might also be the other Daniel. The other one. Lots of Daniels in the sense making community.
That's true, yeah. Daniel Kastner. Yeah, so his app is they're putting it through, they're making an actual app instead of just a web app and putting it through Apple to see whether it works.
So I would love to have.
I'm still okay. Yeah, I still caution. He's talking about going from a progressive web app to a native app, and I'm like, you don't need to go native, like full native. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know how to help people through the technical, non-technical questions, except, we're here to answer questions if you want to do an app to maybe smooth things over. Because oftentimes you hire someone and they just use their favorite technology and it may not be the most effective. I mean, I just use my favorite technology, but it's good to hear a couple.
Probably a reason it's your favorite, right?
Right. Yeah. Actually, I'm playing with a new one right now. And, there's something new every week. So this is Quick by Builder.io. Makes really, really fast websites that can then also have code, and it only downloads the code once people interact with that piece of code.
Okay.
So the websites it's just like a static text website until then. So it's really cool. We'll see. Of course, I don't need any code on my site yet. It's just a marketing site, but we'll see.
I'm excited by all the different sense making projects and the fact they are starting to coalesce. If not the projects, the people have been coalescing for a while, but since I'm not really in the sense making, like my project isn't focused on sense making besides this one, the Together Tech one's probably the most focused just because you two are in sense making projects, right? And I am down with sense making. We need to make sense out of this chaos. We need someone to figure that out that isn't, trust me, trust the science.
Yeah.
After you've eroded all trust in everything, you want me to trust you. I trust you're in it for profit. That is what I trust. Unless you can prove that you're not. And even then, just trust that there's something here that's profit driven.
Yeah, and like another group I joined recently is Doing Good Science Better. So that was interesting. They're trying to do a little bit more on, replication ability and, how do we kind of get this thing a little bit more solid, a little bit more trustworthy. So that'll be interesting. Reality graphing. They have a meeting on reality graphing, which is kind of what I'm doing.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
reality
I
graphing
can
just
see that.
graphing reality? Is that what reality?
Yeah. I mean, it's like an argument map, except you're just trying to
Yeah.
get closer to.
It's like-
It's another
Yeah.
way of saying.
Yeah, I think if you're going to graph reality first, you have to like turn it into numbers. So I guess it's that sort of the hidden middle step of figure out how do you quantify reality, and then you can report on it.
Yeah, and then magic happens.
Yep. There's a tagline: quantifying reality.
Oh yeah, there you go. Sounds like you're in the metaverse at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we shared this on. I don't know if we want to spend more time trying to get this into the Game B. I don't know what we call it, game-b.org. I don't know. We're all kind of overworked on other
Mighty
things.
Networks thing?
So. Say it again?
Is that the Mighty Networks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Do you mean our live broadcast? Getting it
Yeah, I mean not necessarily. At least just to notify people that's going on. I kind of posted our last one, and someone said, "Oh, I might be able to join the next one," but I didn't post any links, and I guess I don't even know where to send them. Is this also going out on YouTube right now or not?
Yep.
I don't know why I didn't get. Oh, there it is.
It's on the Game B Project's Facebook and the Together Tech YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if we would just want to post the YouTube link in the gameb.org group, projects group.
Yeah, that might actually be a decent like thing because if it'll also warn people, hey, they've scheduled a live broadcast for whatever time, and then if they really want to do it, they can subscribe, and that's all we ever do on that channel. So
Yeah.
Sure, makes sense if you're making this 2 days beforehand to post the link beforehand. Post the link to participate on the Facebook page and the link to participate or the link to watch on YouTube, like the YouTube link on the Mighty Networks.
Yeah. Or even the participation link too, maybe, or both.
Oh yeah, I was thinking not to post it on, like, I don't want the participant one on YouTube itself, but it could
Right.
be
Right.
YouTube link and then the participation under it for. I'm good with anyone from Game B finding us and coming on, even if it. Oops, I didn't mean to be on video.
Oh. And the way the StreamYard works, where we can sort of get the preview of the person, so if they are lacking clothes or something, we'd be like, yeah, we're not gonna.
Sadly, not a clothing optional roundtable. You are
Right.
going to need to be clothing on.
We hit the Patreon goals, maybe it'll be.
All right. 10,000 subs.
Yeah, exactly. Late night roundtable.
Well, cool. Well, that's about all I have.
Me too. I have nothing not for my prod. Like, it's like I need my life to work, and my life, like, that's not really Together's Tech. That is more OFA, and that is just more like my online life is great. My in-person life needs to be like my online life, and it's not.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, should we stop the live, or we're not just sitting here in silence?
sounds
And-
about
Yeah. No. Yeah. I
time.
think we go ahead and shut down, and
All right.
maybe we'll try and next time we'll try and post in the gameb.org